you've been waiting for it. Here it is. Danny Bonaduce, life coach. 1-800-252-1025. By the way, I don't know that we'll do it today. We'll see. We do take emails at lifecoach@KZOK.com. This is a special Rick Jones episode this morning of Life Coach. He's one of the partners at Goldberg Jones Divorce from a huge divorce lawyer, guys. So that you can ask him your questions today if you give a call, 1-800-252-1025. How are you, Rick?
I'm terrific, Danny. How about you?
I'm well, man. It's nice to see your happy little face. You look great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love it when you're here. And not just because I can coast, because when I do Life Coach, I really have to think. I don't want to be wrong. But you're a real live expert. It's fun to watch you work.
I appreciate it.
It's really cool to watch you work. And I think there's a bunch of people who want to talk to you, so let's go to it right away. Let's talk to line one, and that'll be Gretchen in Auburn. I divorced the person with your name.
Hi there.
Hi, Gretchen.
How are you?
I'm real well. What can me or Rick Jones do for you?
I want to see if I have any recourse. When I got divorced a couple of years ago, it was amicable, and we divvied up our debts. He'd pay these, I'd pay those, and that was in the divorce decree. But we had a home equity loan that, of course, both our names are on, and I kept the home. He's not able to refinance that loan on his own. And recently, well, for the last 5 months, he's quit making the payments. And so now I have to make them because I'm still in the home and I don't want my credit to get screwed.
Do you think he did this? Did he do this to burden you? Was it the thing he did intentionally?
Well, yeah, he says he'll pay it when he can, but it's been 5 months.
All right, so what do you want to know from Rick?
Do I have any recourse to because the bank doesn't care, we're both on the loan, but the decree says that he has to pay it. Do I have any recourse to ever get that back from him if he becomes financially?
Gretchen, before I get to the answer, I have a question. So you got the house and he got the loan?
Well, I have the house and the big payment.
Okay, got it.
Equity loan.
So he had the equity loan. Great, okay.
That was for his business, which he no longer has, and so that he agreed to take that loan off.
Well, here's the answer. It may not be the greatest answer you're going to hear, but you've got something in your decree called a hold harmless provision. And it's one of those paragraphs towards the end that you thought meant nothing, but basically what it says is if you end up having to pay something that he was supposed to pay, you now have recourse directly against him. So in other words, you basically can bring action against him to collect on a debt if, in fact, you end up having to pay it. Now, unfortunately, what that means is that there's really no recourse for the courts to slap his hand and bring in what's called a debt police, because we don't have that, but to order him to pay directly, because they've already done it.
That's what they've done. That's what
right.
they've got in your hand is the divorce decree. Well, good luck on that, Gretchen. I appreciate the phone call.
Coming up next on Danny Bonaduce Life Coach is Karen in Lake Stevens.
Hey, Karen.
Hey. Okay, my question is, I got a divorce. We were good friends at the time, no worries.
Can I jump in right there? That Gretchen call said we went through it as amicable. Mm-hmm. It's always amicable till about 3 months in, and then you'll be surprised that you're enemies and they want your baby pictures for no good reason. That's why you want to lock down a divorce while everybody's... The guy that says, I don't need a lawyer because you're my friend, that's when you need to get one and lock it all up while everybody's being pals, because it's going to change for sure. Back to you.
Okay, so he got the house, so he refinanced it in his name only, but left my name on the deed. It stated I would get 50% of the equity when he sold it, or he bought me out. Well, the market was crap, so I let him, go a year or so, and then he met someone, decided to move in with her, let the house go, and went into foreclosure. And so he just let the house go. Do I have any recourse as far as taking him to court to get any money out of him for what he messed me over for?
Is the house gone now?
It is. It went into foreclosure. The bank took it.
You missed a window.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, now the only issue is whether or not there was any equity left over in the form of a bank sale. If they wrote him a check for anything, if there was no equity given whatsoever, and the deal in your divorce decree said you get half of that, well, we all know what half of nothing is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a weird thing with the banks on this. I'm a huge fan of those real estate shows, and there's a thing called a short sale. And that means if you want to buy it, okay, we'll make the deal, but it could take you a year to get this property. And you know what? The bank owns it and isn't that interested in your money for some reason. So the theme here is speed, ladies and gentlemen. If you're getting divorced and you have part of the house or anything like that, lock it down in a hurry while people are speaking, because these go... Rick Jones is not here today because you can just sign your name on a thing. People need help through this for a reason, and you should avail yourself of it.
This is Danny Bonaduce, life coach, with special guest Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones, Divorce for Men, 1-800-DIVORCE. If you've got a question for Danny or Rick, call 800-252-1025. Carmela in Seattle, you're on with Danny and Rick Jones.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're all good, thanks.
Good, good. Yeah, my question is about whether there's anything I can do almost 3 years after my divorce. My ex-husband had an affair when I was away on holiday before Christmas with my daughter in my house, and it was pretty traumatizing.
Oh!
Then he left, and that's okay. We had problems. Obviously, that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah, but you can't do it in the wife's house. I don't think I've ever even done that.
Her daughter?
What? I missed that.
Didn't she say with her daughter?
She was on vacation with her daughter.
You're dirty, man. I don't even know. Where does your mind go? So my ex-husband's doing the deed with my kid. Is there any recourse? No! You shouldn't have married him. He's disgusting. Everybody should go to prison.
Sorry. Okay, so anyway, so I had been a stay-at-home mom and a writer, but supporting his career. And he always told me, well, when our daughter got into middle school, then I would have more time to do my thing. And sure enough, right before she went into middle school, that's when he left. So I was so busy trying to keep things together for her, hold on to the house. I couldn't afford a lawyer, but he could, and he basically rushed the divorce through. Meanwhile, I was sick, and I had cancer. So my question is that...
Wait a minute. I want to get this straight. So your husband cheats on you in your bed while you've got cancer. Boy, can you pick him. God.
I'm kidding. I was stuck for 13 years. Hey, look.
I'm a terrible human being, and I wouldn't do that.
I know. I was trying to end it, but I was trying to do it gradually. So this all happened very, very quickly when I was vulnerable and weak, and so boom. So do I have any recourse now for taking, we have joint custody of my daughter, but I want full custody of her, and I want to move out of state. And so that's where I'm at right now, because she starts high school in the fall, and we're in Seattle now, but we want to go back to Orange, California, where I'm originally from. So is there any way that I can open that case and also maybe make it like about other things besides custody? Where am I at?
Sure. Well, I can already tell that there's going to be a whole lot more to the story than what we've already heard from you.
Dude, that's the first time I've really loved one of those crazy stories, man.
But if we stop just now on what we've heard, no, there's not the ability to go back and readdress custody. There is the ability to seek a modification, but it requires some sort of substantial change of circumstances and existing harm to the child that's happened since the divorce.
I didn't think of that. Because I saw there's nothing you can do.
Right.
No, you're done.
Right.
But I did not think about has this traumatic behavior on your part done things to my child, and that way I need to be compensated for that.
And it has to be something that would have been unpresumed at the time that they came to the agreement.
Right.
So what that means is you and I probably need to have a much longer conversation than we've got time for here, so that we can dig a little bit deeper on what's transpired in the last 3 years. And then that's regarding the custody issues. Regarding some of the financial issues, for the most part, with the exception of child support, you're probably stuck there because the courts allow people to make bad deals with each other.
How often does that happen to you? That because I can see that one coming, and I'll give advice on any matter. I don't have to be right. You kind of have to be right. When this lady called up and said, "Hey, is there anything I can do?" Here's I know there's nothing that's going to happen there. She missed that window, as you said. How often do you have to give the bad news?
Unfortunately, I probably have to give bad news about 75% of the time. Yeah,
because people they have misconceptions of how this is going to turn out, what the law says.
You know, I actually appreciate the fact that they're willing to ask the question, though.
Okay.
Right? Because what about the 25% that are hearing news that maybe they weren't expecting, good news that they weren't expecting? So the deal is this: don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody, whether it's me or somebody like me. Right?
The reason you seem like a super sweet guy, and
you don't know me.
I know, maybe I don't. But I'm just thinking, the Rick Jones I know. How often do you just have to be a tiger, man, and just leave somebody's
There's two
crying?
different Rick Joneses. One Rick Jones and one Rick Jones, the attorney.
One Rick Jones that go into the game today, and one Rick Jones that will debilitate you in court. Well, that's an awesome skill, man.
Angel in Auburn, you are on with Danny Bonaduce and Rick Jones of Goldberg Jones, Divorce for Men, 1-800-DIVORCE.
Hi.
Hi.
I had a question relating to child support, and we also filed it online, so it's like a whole kind of different ball of wax because you don't get any guidance or advice or anything like that. So when they process that paperwork, does it still work as like a normal child support court order?
I'm a little bit baffled by the concept of filing it online.
I don't know what she's talking about, but I'm not. You can do anything. People do that. What's that? LegalZoom and LegalZoom.com. Everybody's doing everything online. You can start corporations and stuff. It doesn't surprise me.
Well, that's a way to get documents, and certainly the courts do require what's called an e-filing these days, which basically means electronically you're getting it filed with the court. But filing it with the court is something that's always gone on. There's really never any advice that you get from anybody when you do court documents. So tell me a little bit more in terms of, was this part of a divorce?
Yes.
Okay, so is your divorce final?
There's a website. It's called like WashingtonDivorce.com or .org.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, let me warn people. I'm sure they're a great website and stuff like that. But remember, that stuff is permanent. And if you don't have an educated hand guiding you, that's forever. And then you're going to say one day, hey, man, my house is in foreclosure, or he's got my kid, and I want to get him back. Well, you did something online that you thought you were all fancy about instead of, calling an expert. I think that's fraught with peril.
Well, Angela, is your divorce final?
No, not yet. Outside of the kids, we don't have any joint property. Because we actually went to Australia for a couple of years, and so everything was already split even long before.
So what is your specific question for Rick?
I guess my question is, because to be frankly honest about it, he keeps telling me, oh, yeah, I'll send you some money for child support, and he has yet to do it. And I'm getting tired of listening and waiting to him.
So I'm assuming your question is, how do I get the support out of this guy?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Finish your divorce, and I don't mean that flippantly.
No.
I mean, ultimately, there's a timeline on a divorce. A divorce ends one of two ways. Either the two of you reach a settlement, you sign the papers, it gets turned in with the court, it gets signed by the court, and that's when it becomes a court order, just like you were hoping to hear today.
Right.
The other option is to go to trial. Nobody wants to go to trial, but sometimes that's the last option. And you may have a pending court date right now that's coming up. Even worse, you may have had a pending court date that you didn't know about, and if it passes, the court has the ability, and frequently does, dismiss it on their own, and that means you got to start the clock ticking all over. So you need to get on this.
Yeah, no matter what happened or why you did it, and just because you didn't know it was happening, the court looks at almost everything as disrespect, and they don't like it.
This is Danny Bonaduce, life coach, with special guest Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones, 1-800-DIVORCE. Joe in Seattle, you're on with Danny and Rick.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Morning, Joe. What's up?
Okay, my question is about inheritance money.
Right.
I've heard that inheritance funds cannot be touched by or during a divorce. Is that correct?
Well, that's certainly the mindset to start with. You've heard the phrase community property, which is what Washington calls itself, a community property state. Well, the opposite of that, or what's not included in that bag of community property, is what's called separate property. Separate property is things that you already came into the marriage with, but it's also things that are part of exceptions that can happen while married, and specific inheritance is very much one of those exceptions. The big key to you, Joe, is you need to make sure that if you're getting this or you've already gotten it, to make sure to cordon it off. Put it in an individual account that earns money on itself. Don't feed it into the flow of your checking account. Don't put it into an account or an investment account with other monies. So the key is you need to be able to trace this when and if you make a split.
That's one of the millions of reasons you need Rick Jones. I would have said absolutely she can go after that money.
I thought so too.
Yeah, that she can go after what she wants to go after. So but you do what Rick said. If you do get your greedy hands on it, lock it down in a safe place with your name all over it.
Interesting. All right, we've got time for one more caller on Danny Bonaduce, life coach. Tracy in Seattle, you're on with Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones, 1-800-DIVORCE, and Danny Bonaduce.
Hello.
Hey.
Well, my question is, I am my husband's second marriage, and he has a couple children from his first marriage, and his daughter is autistic. She's supposed to be graduating from school next year, and she has an idea that what she wants to do is go to an actor's college. I'm not sure exactly where it's at. But he already pays a lot of money for his child support, and I know that his ex-wife is going to come after us for some form of post-education support.
Right.
Can he be held liable for paying this post-education child support for his daughter, considering that it's an acting school and it's hard enough for someone who's able-bodied
I have
to
that
get an
in
acting job?
I have that in my divorce decree, and my kid goes to a school where teachers are called scholars and the students are called geniuses. It's one of those new age crappy things, and I'm paying for that. So yeah, you and I. Well, let's go to the expert, Rick Jones at Goldberg Jones.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely on the right track. Yes, he can be held liable for that. It doesn't mean he's going to be. So the real question first is, in the support order that already exists, there's going to be a provision that says post-secondary educational support. And it's more than likely going to say reserved, so it's not going to speak to it. But it's possible it already says yes, yes, both parents have exposure. If it already says, yeah, he's kind of stuck. If it says reserved, then it's certainly something open for debate in terms of what qualifies as post-secondary.
All right, look at that.
Cool. Hey, that's all the time we have for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach, today. The starring Rick Jones version today. Thank you very much for the calls, and thank you very much, Rick Jones of Goldberg Jones.
You're welcome.
Always a home run when you are in. Let's see. A Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones. That's right, Goldberg Jones, Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.